Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! He's taken another one and another, and Howard Foster has stopped it! Wow! That is going to be controversial!
That's a crunching right hand, and that must finish it! It must finish it!
Taylor trying to catch himself, using his jab, eats a right hand, another right hand, and he goes down! Oh my goodness!
The dream is made real! Ricky Hatton rocks the world with a truly stunning win over a modern legend! He is the champion of the world!
Yes, we're back. It's Raps on TV, reporting on the best on news in boxing. It's a quiet weekend, but entertaining weekend. You know, we saw the return of the man himself, Errol Spence Jr. Here, talking about it again with my guy, Tom. What's going on, Tom? You cool?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Just a shame we can't share a dragon style face-to-face over this one.
Yeah, not to worry. There'll be plenty of the opportunities to do that over the year, mate. So yeah, there's no worries at all. How you feeling? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Struggling on lots of work. What about yourself?
Yeah, the same. Well, you know, it's that start of year. I'm sure everybody, even the listeners, are going through it. That early year slog from 0 to 100, mate. So yeah, waiting for that January payday as well. So it's all good. It's all good. So listen, we'll get it. So the guys, for the listeners, obviously, agenda today is going to be Spence versus Peterson. We're also going to kick into obviously some other fights on that card. You know, you had Easter Junior versus Fortuna. Also this weekend we've got a big fight. So the World Boxing Series, something that was started last year by the Sauerland brothers, seems to be gaining some good momentum. If you look at the fights that are being potential that are coming up. I think we've got a big one in terms of Usyk versus Breedis. My eyes, not a foregone conclusion, but yeah, we're going to delve into that. No doubt talk about Linares, who's also defending his belt this weekend. And other boxing news, you know, good announcements. Billy Joe Saunders returns due to fight in Liverpool, I think, or maybe it's unannounced, but I believe it's maybe Liverpool, Manchester and London are the run-ins. And he's returning against Martin Murray, so that should be an interesting one. Flanagan takes on Hooker, and today we get the announcement that Lee Selby takes on Warrington for his belt. So yeah, definitely an interesting line-up, and you know, for the next 4 months, good look of boxing. So Tom,
Lots to look forward to. They're all getting announced all of a sudden now, aren't they?
Exactly. I mean, the thing is, I think the basic way is competition. I think if you look at last week, Matchroom had their week in terms of Parker until Dillian White. You know, so that was, you know, the announcement of the Intercontinental Cruiserweight coming with the Coley Chamberlain fight. So I think they kind of took the headlines. And you saw obviously Warren is kind of like returning. And I think it's good because you've got MTK who are also in the mix with their announcement of signing Ohio Davis. I'm not saying that's world class, but what I'm saying is, you know, they're trying to build. Yeah, they're trying to build their stable. So yeah, I think it's good, no?
Yeah, definitely, and I think we're getting the Showtime ones this week as well. So it's a lot to look forward to after a month of quiet goings on.
Exactly, no doubt. So obviously we had the return this weekend to open the year in terms of, you know, title fights. Spence Jr. Returned to US with his belt that he captured for Kell Brook. It's down out in New York, Barclays Center. I think before the fight, most people were seeing this as being a Spence victory. I did think it would be a stoppage, and I feel that, you know, it was more than justified. I mean, Tom, you seen the fight. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought the fight played out sort of as you'd expect it to. I think Peterson is a tricky fighter, so I think if anything, Spence did well to get him out of there quickly. You know, if he did get him out of there quickly, he dominated him throughout the fight. He did take quite a few punches, but obviously he wasn't too wary of Peterson's power. But I think compared to the performance with Kell Brook, it's because it's his homecoming to America. I'd say that there's now been such a hype after the fight, because I think his performance against Brook was a lot more impressive actually than the performance on the weekend. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think his performance Spence's performances are impressive. I feel this one was also impressive in the sense that, you know, he took the fight to Peterson. I think, you know, it's, you know, all respect for Peterson, but I think it's very dishonest to say that he just took a beating. There wasn't an angle, there wasn't a chink in Spence's armour that you felt Peterson could exploit. I know we spoke.
The problem with Peterson is he's already 33. He's been very inactive as well. So
yep.
I don't think it's not like obviously Kell Brook had that big loss to Golovkin, but Kell Brook was a really good fighter at 147. Made no mistake. I mean, people say that he wasn't. Kell Brook was a top level fighter at 147. Exactly,
and it's not. And I agree with you on that 147. Just to interject quickly, that is the weight also makes a big difference at this level in terms of caliber of fighters. So.
Yeah, definitely. And well, Peterson's so much smaller. Spence is massive at the weight, isn't he?
Yep. And that's it. And who he spars with, I mean, it's a known fact. He's with the Charlo brothers, so you know he's definitely getting. Yeah. You know, he's been putting himself out there. If we think back to all those years ago, he was sparring with Mayweather. You know, let's not be. We have to say that he's been learning. So I mean, to be honest, I felt that he's, in my opinion, like I know there was a bit of hype, and you know, of course, on the social media you got the split, and he's beginning to get his real camp of fans. But I would say for me, I think Errol Spence is going to be one of the top fighters in that 147 division. I really struggled to see anybody that beats him. So for me, it was a good performance.
Crawford has his first fight, I'd say.
I mean, everyone. I mean, I'll be honest. Even I said it last week. I mean, so I'll let you go. Actually, go ahead, bro. Sorry.
I think that when Crawford moves up, if he puts on a really dominant performance, not physically but technically over Jeff Horn, I think that Peterson did have some success on the inside. I think that Crawford's a master tactician, and I think that he could have a plan that would be able to beat Spence even with a size disadvantage. I think he's that skillful of a fighter. It's not, it's by no means a sure thing. I'd be very 50-50 in that fight. But I do think that Crawford's the more skilled boxer out of the two and probably has the better boxing IQ.
See, and what I would say is, boxing IQ, I would say we haven't seen that yet because I don't think we've seen Spence in front of a guy that has required him.
Kell Brook without boxing.
No, the thing is, so with the Spence one, I think you've got to remember, I think Spence fell into his game plan, you know, in terms of Spence, and Brook fell into Spence's game plan in the sense of Brook tried to trade with him, and I think Spence was stronger than him and smarter than him, and he was working that body. So even when you felt, in my opinion, Brook was doing well, which he was, I think the countering that was Spence's body work, which took its toll. So he wasn't, in my mind, pure negatives. In terms of Crawford, for me, I think to be a lesser skilled boxer than Crawford by a very minimal amount, I don't think there's any shy of that. So I think you need to have other areas that will see you through. And I don't see, I personally, I think it's 70-30, maybe 80-20 in Spence's favour.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's probably like 55-45 in Crawford's favour.
Yeah.
I have to say. I think that Spence has got the size on him. I think that Spence has got the size and the punch, but I think in almost every other aspect, Crawford's the superior fighter. I have to say. I think Crawford is, one of probably the second most talented boxer after Lomachenko.
I agree, but then it's also you wouldn't deny that, and obviously I'm not saying Lomachenko would come up, but if Lomachenko was to face the caliber of Spence Jr., it's going to be too much for him. Do you see what I'm saying? So I do agree with everything in terms of the plaudits, but at some point it's too much, and I think that's. Sorry, carry on.
Maybe but didn't Crawford face like Thurman and stuff in the amateurs? I'm pretty sure he did. So he's had experience with the sort of bigger guys before.
I have to be honest, I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me because they're definitely all within the same circle, and these guys all, they all spar each other. You think somebody hasn't sparred, and then you see a video and you're like, wow, like this guy sparred years ago. Like, Theophane. I saw something random. Theophane sparred when he sparred Errol Spence Jr. This guy from London was in the Mayweather gym, and he was sparring people. So, like, yeah, you're more than likely, it's more than likely true. But I think, does that make a difference? I don't think so. So for me, I think that will be an interesting fight if it gets made. What I do think is a bit unfair, and this is where I think we have to be careful, is everyone's calling for Crawford to fight the champions. I think we need to see how he does. We need to see him enter this division, because there is a bit of a difference. For me, even someone like Jeff Horn could cause Crawford problems, because we've seen it a little bit, that there's you need to be you need to be a highly skilled fighter, but I think he could cause him problems. So that'll be interesting. But no, overall, Spence, I mean, in terms of performance, if you were to mark it out of 5 gloves, how many gloves would you give him?
4, I think.
Yeah, I would have said that as well. He did
take a few punches. It wasn't a perfect performance, but it's a bit like with Joshua against Takam. He dominated the fight. He was never in any danger, but it wasn't perfect.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that at 4. So no, that's a good look. So obviously this weekend we've got Usyk taking on Breedis. What's your thoughts on that fight?
I'm really looking forward to that fight. I'll be slightly worried. I don't know if you remember watching the Breidis Perez fight.
Yeah.
As you know.
Yeah.
Painful to watch. So, so tiring. It was mentally exhausting watching them hug so much, and I'd be slightly worried that Breidis will try and do that again with Usyk, because I think that Usyk technically is so superior that I think that he'll just try and box Breidis. I think Breidis is very tough, and I don't think Usyk will knock him out. Actually, I think that he'll win a comfortable points decision.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's one of the things, I in terms of the performance, I agree with you. I don't see him even trying to go specifically for the knockout unless it really presents itself. Because I think one thing with Breedis, I don't think he's a highly skilled fighter. Both of them are undefeated. And there's, oddly enough, they're both champions coming into this. So there's definitely a way to kind of sell this fight and, make it sound like it's a huge European clash, which I guess you would argue it is, representing Latvia and Ukraine. But for me, it's the quality of opponents that is between them, which, it's hard to argue who's got the better CV, number one. And I think Breedis has got a big right hand, which seems to do a job for him. But I don't know, in this kind of fight, you need more than that. So I agree with you. I think
I think that Usyk is... Usyk's had, almost half the fights of Breedis?
Yeah.
And he's already fought the same calibre of opponents, you'd have to say. I mean, he comfortably beaten albeit past it, Marco Huck. And who was it? Was it Glowacki? He defeated quite early on for the title.
Yeah.
So I think Usyk's a real force, and I think he's the clear favourite for the tournament. I can't really see how someone beats him, because I think he's so good at boxing from range and he's got good footwork that I think people find it hard to get to him.
I mean, the winner of the tournament comes from this fight, no?
Yes, I guess you could say. I think Gassier. I do like Gassier. I remember watching the Gassier Lebedev fight, where Lebedev, which was a great fight actually, and Lebedev, he was hitting Gassier quite a lot. It was a really close fight, but he's a very powerful puncher, Gassier. The pressure fighter, and maybe if he puts Usyk in a position he hasn't been in before, he can get through. I think that, in my eyes, I think Gassier will beat Dorsfos, especially it's in Russia as well. I think so.
Yeah, no. So that's going to be interesting. So I'm going to open a line. I think I see Paul on the line. So I'm going to go out 348. 348. The floor is yours. Hello.
How you doing, boys?
How you doing?
It's Tom.
How you doing, Tom? Okay, apologies, mate. How you doing?
Man.
Tom Lyons, how you doing, mate? You alright?
Yeah, good.
I'm going to keep it open, Tom, so you might as well just stay on the line. If you want to stay on the line, feel free. I'll keep your line open. What's on your mind? What you heard us discussing a couple of fights. Spence Jr., what was your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, it was a great performance, wasn't it? I mean, like I said in the article I wrote for the channel, just the way Spence was so effective and so efficient with his shot selection was good to watch, really, to be honest. Also, the fact that when Spence was touching Peterson with the jab, he was able to sort of whip the left hand around and be so clinical with his shots, which sort of broke Peterson's will, and it was rightfully stopped, to be honest, because it wasn't looking too pretty the later round.
I mean, just quickly, I want to ask you on that. You spoke about the jab. I mean, what I also found impressive was how he literally used his jab as a number one, obviously for defence, but in terms of a rod, he just kept it there, and Peterson really struggled to make the movement. And then when he just came in with that big left, it was just Peterson couldn't do anything. He couldn't even get out of range at all. So I thought that was really interesting.
It was a distance finder, wasn't it, with the jab, sort of gauging what he had to do to close the distance, and then obviously land the left hand, which was effective from round one, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. From round one, I think very early in round one. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Tom Kojo and I were disagreeing, quite considerably over a potential Spence Crawford fight. Who would you favour in that?
At the moment, I don't know. It's hard to pick really, because I mean, obviously Crawford's moving up to 147. It'll be his first fight. If it happens at his first fight at 147, then I'd probably have to favour Spence just purely because of the size advantage. But in terms of skill, it's hard to really separate the two, because they're both well schooled and they're both very seasoned boxers, and the power for both of them is there as well, like we saw with Crawford and Ndongo, and we've seen with Spence and Peterson on the weekend. It's hard to really separate the two. They're both two class fighters, and I think it will come down to a case of the size will be a disadvantage for Crawford, because it'll be his first fight. But once he matures maybe into 147 after a few fights, then it'll be a much closer fight, and it'll be a 50-50 fight like we see on paper.
Yeah, I think the thing is we won't actually see that fight for a long time, because Spence is going to be put up against Thurman, and even that could take 2 or 3 fights more. And
Thurman needs a warm-up fight as well. So
exactly. So I don't think we're not going to see that fight until at least 2019. So I think by that time, Crawford the size advantage won't be as big a factor, I don't think.
And if I'm being honest,
when you see Crawford at those weigh-ins, he looks like he's about to pass out, drained so much.
Yeah. I mean, so for me, what I will say as well, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see it, because I really think if Spence can unify, I don't think that fight happens before he fights Thurman. I think that's definitely going to be on his higher priority list. And if he does unify, if he is able to even unify, let's say he fights Horn before Thurman, I think once he's got all the belts, I think he will go up to 154. Because he's...
I saw something the other day. It was just a few days after the fight, saying about Spence wanting to move up to 160 to fight Canelo if the opportunity presented itself. That was a bit rash.
You see, yeah.
I think Canelo give him all sorts of trouble.
Exactly, and let's be honest. I mean, I think these guys say all types of stuff after the win. Didn't Ward say he wants to fight Joshua? So I think maybe it's either to bring a bit more attention to their name, or it's just the blows that they've taken recently hasn't making them think out straight. But I think I heard something like that. But 154, I think is more than realistic for him. So yeah,
especially when he's been sparring the likes of Charlo, and
that's what I'm saying.
I'm sure he's been sparring the likes of Hurd and those champions at 154. So it definitely looks like he'd move up after he obviously does his stuff at 147. So
yeah, and I think he doesn't get, like, he is a skilled fighter. People forget, he's an Olympian. He is a skilled fighter. So for me, I if that fight happens, I think my money's with Spence. But what's your thoughts on obviously the big one this weekend, Usyk versus Breedis?
Yeah, I have to agree with Tom. The fact that he said Breedis is tough, but I mean, looking at the fight with Perez, it was just the only reason why I think Perez didn't get this success he could have got if he was more aware was the jab, because he didn't throw any significant jab in the fight, and it was just a case of trying to throw that big shot and completely miss him. But if he had used his jab, which is going to separate Perez from Usyk on the weekend, because Usyk's such a good boxer that he'll be using the jab from the minute he starts. And I mean, looking at the Boxing Super Series promo, when they looked at each other's fights, Usyk immediately was like, he doesn't throw the jab like Perez never threw a jab, which I think is on the weekend going to separate why Perez had no success in the fight and why Usyk would be able to outbox Bradis. So.
Yeah.
Just imagine for a second Tony Bellew in the mix with Usyk and Bradis.
Oh God, couldn't imagine that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I think Usyk would beat him very convincingly.
Yeah, I mean, you're both very true. That's very true. So today also, let's talk about so in fact, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about Billy Joe Saunders, guys, fighting Martin Murray. Announced last week. Did you expect that? Did you see that one coming?
No, it caught me slightly off guard actually, but I do think it's very good matchmaking, to be honest, isn't it? Because I think Murray, he's got a reputation that he doesn't really bring any danger, but he'll come and give it his all. So he'll make it an exciting fight, because it is a problem with Saunders' fights. Occasionally they can be quite drab to watch, even though he's a brilliant boxer. In the Lemieux fight, Lemieux's constantly after him. It's exciting, it's like looking at the wizardry. But that Monroe fight was, I remember almost couldn't wake up for the Golovkin fight.
Yeah, I mean...
I think it's good. I think it's good matchmaking, and I think Saunders deserves a sort of easy fight now. Why take the risk when he's got such a huge fight on the horizon?
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, you said it for me. Good matchmaking. You said good matchmaking. I say definitely agree with that, and it's a good keep busy fight. You look at the name Martin Murray. I think first of all we know, and this is not me slating Saunders. I've said it before. I think he needs something. He needs a carrot to be dangled in front of him. He needs a fight that is going to make him be focused 90 to 100%, and he's not going to want to do or take any chances against Murray. So for me, I think it's the right opponent, better than probably bringing somebody that we don't really know in the division from Europe or overseas. We know Martin Murray, so what that does for Billy Joe Saunders, it helps his fan base as well. His fan base get to see him because obviously they'll travel, and not just that, he builds a more of a fan, British fan base in terms of it's a name. People can even look forward to the press conferences a little bit. Billy Joe Saunders is a bit cheeky. What's his approach going to be like with Martin Murray? You just what I mean? So, and when I say cheeky, I'm not saying it as a slight. Again, I'm saying it like, but yeah, he knows how to say. He makes digs against his opponents that kind of rouse them. And, he's good at the mind game. So for me, I think it's a good fight. The problem is, I just don't think what happens afterwards, because I don't know if he even gets near to Canelo or Golovkin, to be honest with you.
Not straight away. He'll probably have to take another fight, and you definitely don't want to be taking on Danny Jacobs if you're Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah,
that is a bad move, and I mean, Jacobs was very impressive in that Golovkin fight, and it's hard for Saunders because he can't tread water forever, but the opportunity will come eventually. So he's got to it's good to tick over. If he stays active, Martin Murray's the right caliber of opponent. As long as he doesn't go below that, I think he can escape criticism.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Jacobs. I think Jacobs would be the good fight. That would be the fight that would garner a lot of respect, because Billy Joe Saunders, in a way, we can see he has one style. So it's down to how the opponent approaches him for us to see the best out of that style. Because you said the Monroe Joe junior fight was boring, and it was because he didn't make an effort, whereas Lemieux was trying to make an effort. I think Jacobs, his pressing style, I'll be interested to see how Saunders fights him off because of the size difference. But yeah, I mean that would be a really good fight to make, and one you could actually probably argue that he should really take if he wants to get the fight, because if he beat Jacobs again more convincingly than Golovkin, the fans are only going to be demanding one thing, and I think the money then makes the Saunders versus Canelo or Golovkin a lot more attractive. I think that's what he needs to start working on, is how much is he going to bring to the table.
Been confirmed, has it? Canelo and Golovkin.
Nope, that's what I mean.
So I can't see either of them taking on Saunders without having fought each other in the rematch first as well. So if that doesn't happen in May, it's going to be tricky. Maybe Saunders should go up to 168 for a fight, but they were talking about that De Gale fight. If De Gale would win the rematch against Truax, that would be the perfect fight for Saunders.
Yeah. That would be an interesting one.
And a big money fight as well.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one. De Gale Saunders. Who wins?
I think Saunders, but De Gale in his prime, I'd say De Gale, but I think De Gale's on his way out, and Saunders is at his very peak. He's with the new trainer. He's bringing the best out of him. I think we're probably not going to see a better Billy Joe Saunders than we're seeing at the moment and over the next few fights, whereas I think the best James De Gale's been and gone now, and we'll never see that James De Gale again, even if he is to return to better form than in the last fight.
I mean, I will slightly disagree. Not that Billy Joe Saunders can't beat him. I think it can depend on how he returns to form. What moves does he make? If De Gale maybe moves to a new trainer, comes back, fights Trabb, is convincing in the performance, then I think we've got to remember it wasn't too long ago that people were looking at him as a true champion, flying the British flag. So I think Saunders has got the smarts to beat him, and I think with De Gale, because he likes to keep his hands low in terms of his defence, I think it will allow Saunders to kind of pick him off, because Saunders will be the smarter fighter in terms of pivoting, being on the slip, measuring his range. I think for me, De Gale, his defence isn't great. So it's whether he can just apply pressure onto Saunders and be successful. That's where I would maybe see success for him. So yeah, no, that's definitely an interesting one. And Selby versus Warrington, that got announced. What's your take on that fight?
Well, I think we've always agreed, I think, that Selby's the clear favourite in that fight. But the problem with Selby is he does seem to have on and off nights, doesn't he? Because sometimes he looks untouchable, and sometimes he looks kind of poor. I mean, in his last fight, does he beat Warrington comfortably? Probably not. But maybe when he's got the better opponent that he's more wary of in front of him, they'll bring the best out of him. I hope so, because I'm a big fan of his. I think he's really exciting to watch, because he's great technically, but he also likes to get into a fight, so he's a perfect boxer to watch, and he's underappreciated. Yeah,
I mean, I definitely agree with you in terms of his performance, and the way he fights. I think this is a fight. I think he's going to be up for this. I definitely get what you mean about how does he motivate himself. I think we do forget that he's had a few external things that can sometimes maybe play its part, especially one recently. But what I would say is I think he'll be up for this fight, and I think he knows this is a real opportunity to showcase his talent. I think he beats Warrington. Where I see Warrington potentially having success is, is only via how Selby reacts to the pressure. For me, this is clearly
work rate.
Yeah.
Warrington's biggest strength against him, isn't it?
That's the only thing that he's got to kind of see him through to win the fight. So can that be in his favour? I'm not sure. Selby is a clever fighter, but yeah, this will be an interesting one. So no, I definitely look forward to it. And it just goes to show, as I was saying earlier, in terms of if you look at what we've got to watch, and everyone says British, but I mean British is great, but boxing period from an international point of view, I mean so many fights. I mean February's, the Eubank Groves is good enough. Don't forget anything.
But we can't wait for that one.
That's what I mean.
Exciting fight of the year that's made so far.
But then, and I definitely, that is true. But then you've got Coley Chamberlain.
And it's not on Sky or BT.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be there for that one. So, yeah, I have to do be fine when I get back. It's a quick YouTube job. But in terms of, you look at what's coming on, kicking off March, Wilder Ortiz, White versus Brown. It's definitely looking like it's going to be a lot of big fights that can get made. So yeah, in my mind, it's a bright future. Also, we saw on the card for Saunders versus Murray, Flanagan. He's making his debut. Moving up a division. I mean, how do you feel Flanagan could rate his career to date?
I think that, he's it's a bit of a non-story that how is it the case, because what is he, England's longest reigning undefeated countless world title fights in a row, yet no one's really heard of him. Like, he always comes across very nice in interviews, but he doesn't have a personality that sells, really. And his fighting style doesn't really buy in the casual fan. So it's obviously a problem to promote him and put him in a main event fight. And I think, it shows that he has to go on the undercard of a Saunders fight. I remember watching Hooker in, I think it was against Darlis Perez. And I'm not sure if he's fought again since, but I remember watching that fight. I think it was on the undercard of one of the Ward Kovalev fights. And, Darlis Perez got robbed terribly in that fight. I thought Darlis Perez beat Hooker clearly. And Perez obviously got beaten by Crawler, so I think that it's an easy win for Flanagan, especially on home soil. I think it's an easy win, but I don't think it's going to do much to elevate. He'll just be back in the position he was, really. And he's just sort of got out of a division where the big fights were, and big fights where he probably have lost against the likes of Garcia and Linares.
And that's the thing. And that's why I just think I don't understand the move, because I think, to be honest, after Easter Junior's performance, I think he's made a big mistake not going after his belt at the very least. But I don't see how you're a champion and you've left the division without really fighting champions and not fighting any more champions. It's so yeah. On paper, longest champion and undefeated, and it definitely looks good. And he is a good boxer, but I can't really give him the same type of credit. It's the wrong name to use, but I don't see him in the same light of in terms of a bit like a Joshua, in terms of how he's gone on to, take a belt, win a belt and defended it. And obviously we know that's a larger name, but even overseas, it's kind of like Crawford. Look, that's what he's done. He's tried to unify. There's been no real attempt to unify his division. So it's, I don't know. I don't know what to make of his career, to be fair. But look forward to seeing him against Hooker. You re-jogged my memory. I remember that robbery. That was one of those shocking decisions, and I think that was the first.
Yeah. Watching that, obviously it was early in the morning. No one's in a good mood when you just had the alarm to wake up. By then, I remember thinking, God, that's one of the worst I've seen. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, and I remember it all led into the controversy as well. So I do remember that. So for me, it's gonna be. I think you're right. He'll probably defeat him, but I don't know what he does at that division period. But I read somewhere that they said he's only gone up because Crawford's left. Then it's hard to argue that, huh? It is hard to argue. He's left a division where he had no fights left other than a fight where he may lose to go into it with a gimme fight, almost not a gimme fight. That's silly to say, but a fight that he's a much bigger favourite in than any other one he would have been in at the top level at 135. Yeah. And then there's not really the big names out there at 140. There's a lot of good fighters at 140, but they're all still coming through. Like, there's great fighters. You've got Josh Taylor. There's the Regis Prograis. God knows how. What's the right way to say that? But there's a few good fighters coming through at 140.
Yeah.
But the sad thing is Flanagan's probably not going to fight them, because if he's not going to fight the big money fights at 135, he's not going to fight equally difficult fights for smaller money at 140. So it kind of seems like he's just floating by, taking the easiest path, which it's a hard sport. You can see why you'd want to do it, but as a fan, it's disappointing, and it's not going to win you any new supporters. Yeah, no,
I totally agree with you on that. So listen, we've got caller on the line. I think it's Michelangelo. Hello.
Oh, yes, Michelangelo Sella. Yeah, me again.
How you doing, sir? You well?
That cure for it. Yeah, I'm a perfect cure for insomnia. Just want to get onto the what did you guys think of Errol Spence over the weekend? I never saw it. I heard the result today. 7th round stoppage.
Yeah, I think it was class personally. Beating. That's the best way I'll describe it, Tom.
Yeah, impressive, but not perfect, I'd say. Still work to be done until Spence is the elite fighter that he clearly can be.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. He showed that the potential, he's got the path to get there, so, yeah.
Right, but to the heavyweights now, I've heard that Fury has got his licence back. Would I be right in saying that? Yep. And also that he's shed 4 stone in, I think, 2 months. This You know, I mean, you know, this is the thing.
He's never going to have to work a day in his life ever again. He'll be living on martinis on the beach for the rest of his life once he gets the Joshua fight.
Yeah, but you know, as I say, he needs a few fights, obviously, get himself into contention, and you know, who knows? I mean, obviously, it's going to sell. It's a big fight domestically, and obviously, it's a stadium fight. But can I just say on one other thing? Who is this guy, this Russian guy, the WBA light heavyweight? I've seen a bit of him, Dmitry Bivol. What are your thoughts on him? I saw him on the Monaco show some months back live on Sky. First time I see him, and to me he looked the part, but I didn't get to see enough of him. He stopped the Australian in 1 round, knocked him out with a lovely right hand, and travelled no more than 6 inches. What is your take on Dmitry Bivol?
So for me, so far he's looked impressive. There's no doubt about it. I've only seen probably what I've seen, apart from the highlights. Like I've only seen him when he was really on this Jacobs card, and in terms of great detail. For me, he's got a good fight coming up. Barrera, I think that's going to be a test for him. Sorry, not Jacobs, the one in Monte Carlo. You're right, but the fight against Barrera is definitely going to be a good test for him. He is strong, powerful. Showing good technique. Probably a bit more technique than Beer to Biv at the moment. But yeah, the jury's still out for me at the moment because I just haven't seen him enough. I don't know what you think, Tom.
Well, that's the general concern. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
Yep.
Did you ask? Sorry, you're talking to Tom. Sorry, Tom. Sorry.
No, you go. That's what you're going to say.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, the general consensus is pretty much that, you know, like you just said yourself, Kojo, that we haven't seen enough of him. I mean, he's had 12 fights, 10 by the short route. He's obviously a puncher, but you know, as I say, time will tell. I mean, it's very, very hard to, to actually, to say too much about him. Really, I mean, there's obviously a guy who I buy DVDs from, and I'm definitely going to get the career collection of him because he had a terrifically hard fight. One of the guys who went the distance with him, I can't think of the guy's name now, who he fought, but that was his hardest test, and so I'd like to see, as I say, a little bit more of him, and then I can like, as I say, give you a better assessment myself. I just wonder if you've seen much of him, sort of thing. You know, is he? I mean, the way they're talking, or he's talking rather, is that, you know, he's the next star of the division at 175, and he's going to clean up and unify, and you know, the way they're talking, become an all-time great at light heavy. You know, John the light.
I do think the other one to look out for is that Alexander Gvorchik. I think he's very good. I think he won the bronze at the Olympics. I think he's very good. I think Bivol's very young. I mean, well, actually, no.
No, he's not.
Bivol's actually like 27, isn't he? He started 26. He just has he's got a bit of a baby face, which is not something I'd say to him personally.
Yeah.
So I think that Gvorchik is very impressive. Whenever I've seen him, and he's taken out better opposition so far. So I wouldn't be sure. I don't think Bivol's going to dominate. I think Beterbiev, Gvorchik, Kovalev is probably, you know, going to be the big fight where who gets beaten and the new generation will come through.
Okay. Povetkin, he's got a WBA title defence. Has he got? Am I right in saying that? It's added to the Joshua card. Can't think of it.
Is it a vacant or is it a defence?
Lucas Browley's fighting.
No, that's Dillian White, and Dillian White is fighting for the silver WBC. Povetkin, I've heard, Povetkin going to fight Price. Yeah, but I don't think it's for any type of title. I mean, if that would be shocking because.
No, that is a WBA. And can I just say one last thing? I read in the trade paper, Boxing News, last week. About the WBA, I don't know if you remember the guy. I can't place his name. He boxed on a show. He didn't box all of last year. He was inactive. I think he owns a nightclub or something, a light heavyweight, and he's ranked at number 9. He's chucked in at number 9 or 11. I think he's number 9 by the WBA, a light heavy.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's an absolute, farce completely. There's like an article in the Boxing News about, the WBA out there sort of basically, flogging the rating system, basically.
Yeah, if you look at you're the history man, and if you look at history, you know that's been going on forever. We've had
I'm not.
and the IBF. So I think you know if one are doing it, the rest are probably are.
Oh, of course. I mean, I can take a quick instance right now. The IBF, for example, going back to 1987, Matthew Hilton, the light middleweight champion of the world, as rated by the IBF, recognised by the IBF, he beat Buster Drake for the championship fight of the year, KO magazine '87. His first defence was against a guy, no disrespect to him, Jack Ironman Callahan. Now Callahan boxed largely on the club fighter circuit, no disrespect to them, and I think he got a ranking of number 7 or something. And the best guy he ever beat was a guy called Schoolboy Jimmy Baker, who was another club fighter, the net type of guy. But Callahan, he was the Indiana state champion. That's all he ever got, and he got a shot at Matthew Hilton, and the fight didn't last too long, and that was obviously a black eye for the IBF. Also, I can't say too much, but there's been a lot of goings on, naughty things going on with ratings, payoffs and things like that, but I'm not, as I say, pointing the finger at anybody in particular, but...
definitely not Michael. We can't be pointing any fingers on Raps on TV. We're not affiliated with anybody for protection, mate.
I didn't say nothing. I never said no names.
That's what I like to hear.
No names. So, I could be talking about the WBC. I could be talking about the Mickey Mouse. I could be talking about whatever title.
Exactly. So listen, Michael. Thanks for your call. Unless you got anything to add on the Usyk fight.
The
Usyk versus Predis. Any comments on that?
No, nothing really. No, I mean, who do you guys think will win?
I think we're really good. I think both of us. Or I say it sounds like we are picking Usyk. I don't think it will be like massively easy. I think it will probably go to points. I think he will show that he's wary of Briedis' right hand. But I think that's all Briedis has really got. I don't see him really being able to close the distance, being able to slip. As Tom's said.
So can I just add one last thing, please?
Yeah.
You guys, when Lomachenko, somebody said that he's the only fighter to have fought for a world title in his first pro fight, or his third pro fight rather. Well, Peter Rademacher, the German heavyweight, he was a gold medalist in the Olympics. He boxed Floyd Patterson for the heavyweight championship of the world in his pro debut, and also you had a guy called Seung Surin, and he was a Thai fighter, better known for fighting Thomas Ernst and Don Covey's half brother Bruce. But he won his world title in his third pro fight. I think it was a WBC junior welter, and he reigned for quite a few years.
Okay,
so,
thanks for that.
Lomachenko's not alone.
No problem. All right, cheers. Thank you very much, mate. Cheers. Take care.
Week.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Next week. Bye-bye. Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers. So we're gonna move out to. It looks like Daniel 985. How you doing, Daniel?
How we doing, guys?
Yeah, we're doing well, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, we're good. How are you? Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. All good.
So what's on your mind, mate?
Just want to big everyone up, big up everybody who calls into the show, and big up the whole Raps on TV team, really. So just bigging everyone up first and foremost. Great performance by Spence on the weekend. So he's looking good, mate. He's looking good. Looking good.
Impressed?
Yeah, I'm impressed. Very impressed. So impressed, mate.
And your boys fighting Murray. Billy Joe Saunders has announced to fight Murray. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I thought, he's taking an easy option. But thinking about it, you know what, Murray, Saunders has got to be on his toes, and he's got to be thinking from now, basically, like he's got to cop on, and he's got to be up for it, or he'll lose. Simple. We know what Murray's about. Yeah, he's not an elite fighter, but he brings everything into the ring, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he leaves everything in there. So if Saunders is not on it, he'll go home without his belt. Simple. And you can laugh, but it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. You're right. He's got to be on it. He's got to be focused. And I think this Murray fight does that, to be honest. It's not just some guy that nobody's known. There's going to be people, put it this way, there's going to be a lot of people in the arena that are going to be backing Murray. And no matter what, that helps add a bit of spice to this fight. I'm not saying it makes their ability go by 100% better, but I'm just saying it adds more spice to the fight. And it's a last chance saloon for Murray. So, yeah, we'll see how that one plays out.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Yeah, cool, man.
Right,
so, listen, man, thanks for calling in.
No worries.
No problem, man. We'll catch up, man. Cheers, man. Thanks.
You have a great night, lads.
Same to you, man.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.
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 Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye. So going out to 269. 269, the floor is yours. Hello?
Hi guys, how you doing?
Yes, is that Jason? Yes.
Yeah.
What's going on, bro? You cool?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Good.
Just calling in to, basically talk about the Errol Spence fight. I mean, it was just a great fight.
Yeah. You obviously you watched it, right?
I did, yeah. Watched it Sunday morning. Yeah, I couldn't stay up. I say Sunday morning around, the repeat show on BT Sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, But no, I think Errol Spence is a world-class fighter, to be honest with you. Wasn't too happy about that Peterson guy. I mean, him telling his coach, you know what I'm like, kind of thing. I think he was just basically telling his coach, you know what, just throw in the towel because I've had enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think...
if he really wanted it, he would have said, no, don't do nothing, I'll carry on. You know what I mean? Him basically saying, you know what I'm like, that's him basically saying, I'll fight till the end, but, I'll fight till the end until I get knocked out.
Yeah, exactly. Do the right thing. I agree with you. There wasn't the right amount of conviction in terms of him wanting to stay in. He's... I mean, it was sad to see because even the coach didn't know what to do because he was just taking a beating. And I guess he didn't want to see that in his fighter. But, it's just unfortunate he came up against a quality fighter.
A fighter knows when they're the beaten man, don't they? I think he came up a fight. It's not a fight where he thought like, I could maybe do something. Even in the smallest instance, I might be able to do something here. I think he knew he was beaten no matter what. So
yeah.
Does he want to go for more of getting beaten up by a hard-hitting elite welterweight? I mean, it's not.
That's it.
He's 33 years old. He's on his way out. It's not in his best interest, really, is it? That's what he's probably thinking.
I mean, that's all I thought. All I thought was those punches must have really hurt him.
Oh, boy, you can tell.
He's got a fat to his punches.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. You think about who he's sparring with, and he spars with some real hard hitters. So it's only natural that he's returning that in his fight. So for me, I think that's good. That's good. What do you think of Billy Joe Saunders? His fight against Martin Murray?
Billy Joe Saunders?
Yeah.
As in December?
He fought in December, but he's fighting again in April.
Okay. So, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm looking forward to that fight. However, I don't know too much about the opponent.
Yeah.
I will research him, but I think he's... I mean, I can't really say this. I don't know the opponent, but I still think he'll go through them, basically.
Yeah.
I really do feel that he's on Canelo and Triple G's level. I do feel that he could possibly beat them.
Yeah. And I think it's the style, isn't it? It becomes a question of styles making fights. It's not that he outpowers them, but he could potentially outsmart them. And it is doable. We've seen it many, many times, We've seen it many, many times. So, definitely look forward to that. So listen, thanks for calling in, Jason. Okay, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks, guys. See you for the good one.
All right, cheers, man. Thanks, bro. Cheers.
All right, cheers.
So Tom, what's on your mind? And I'm sure you got some.
Yeah, there was a couple of things I wanted us to discuss, which was firstly, there's been lots of sort of posts this week about Chisora turning down the fight with Joyce for Joyce's third fight, so the one after the one that's coming up on the Haymaker card in February, or is it early March?
Yeah, February.
And there was lots of conflicting opinions over that, which I found quite interesting. Saying Chisora's, Joyce is poor, Chisora's got too much for him. I think that's an easy win for Joyce. So I was wondering what you thought, Kojo.
So sorry, it's an easy win for who? Chisora or Joyce? Did you say?
Joyce. I think that's an easy win for Joyce. Chisora.
See, again, for me, it's which Chisora turns up. I don't think I can say that, because for me, with the Ian Lewison fight, I mean, we were there, and I know he was.
Yeah.
Lewison wasn't necessarily giving him any trouble, but it was hard to give it a good score. I mean, you gave it a good score because Lewison was a decent opponent, but he didn't look good at all, really. I don't know if that's being too critical, but
when you think of how Dillian White looked against Ian Lewison, I think it says a lot that Joyce's team are more than confident to try and go for Chisora in the third fight. I think that Joyce gets a lot of criticism, but I'm not sure why, because he's trying to step up straight away.
But you're saying even third fight, bro. I'm just thinking, isn't it his second fight, bro? Because he hasn't fought since. Who's he fought after Lewison? Because the Bellew card was cancelled.
But they've shown the intentions, haven't they? Because he wanted to fight Tom Little in the second, and then obviously go for a bigger fight in the third. I mean, that fell through to no fault of his own.
I mean, do you know what I'd say with the Chisora fight?
Yeah.
I mean, you're right, and you're definitely true in what you're saying. If the team are confident, then there's a reason for that. I don't know whether it's the right risk to take. I think he's better off looking at a Tom Little, a Gorman, one of those kind of guys, the English area champion kind of level, and try and see how he fares against those guys before, because you lose to Chisora, no one's going to say it was your second fight. They're just going to say you lost to Chisora. And Joe Joyce isn't as young. He's not as young as Joshua. So I don't.
Joe Joyce has sparred almost all the top heavyweights in the world. You can't remember that. He obviously there's mixed opinions, but it would seem that he handled Bermane Stiverne very easily in the lead up to when he was in camp to Deontay Wilder, although that didn't turn out to be much of a compliment. But
not even that, bro. You've got to remember with sparring, bro. Let me tell you that with sparring, it's just sparring. It is just that. I mean, there's a video you could see, and I mentioned it, Theophane versus Spence Jr. You people could watch that and say Theophane has a chance against him. You look at Deontay Wilder, who he's been sparring. He's sparred Chamberlain. Chamberlain sparred Joshua Coley.
Yeah.
So it's sparring. I get what you're trying to say, but
I think that if we see that Joyce Chisora fight, I'll be very confident that Joyce will win.
Yeah, interesting one. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm intrigued by your confidence. I'm not gonna lie, because from what I saw of him, and the problem is I've only seen him once. You see what I mean? And we were at the fight, and there wasn't anything that made me say, yeah.
Well, you can see a few of his fights from the WSB on YouTube. I mean, you can even see he fought Usyk.
You fought Usyk, yeah. Yeah, so
I think that he's fought opponents that are Usyk is Usyk's probably only an inch shorter than Chisora. Obviously, he's a lot lighter, but if Usyk went in there with Chisora, he'd box his head off.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt, but it's different for Joyce. So for me, I don't see that being an easy victory at all, especially if it's the Chisora that turns up for White. Especially, but you look at Joyce, he's got the range on him, but I don't know if that's the smartest move. I mean, it's definitely the ballsiest move, so I'll give them that. But I would say maybe your Nathan Gormans, your Littles, those might be.
I thought that would be a really good move for Joyce, actually, because I think they put him firmly in the spotlight. Chisora is a known name. I feel like if he really wants to accelerate on straight away, that.
But okay, so be honest. Look at if Joe Joyce was to fight Fury, Parker, Joshua, Wilder, Ortiz, who does he beat?
You have to see more than so. I think that he could definitely have a very good chance against Parker.
But if you're saying he goes into the spotlight, that means those fights happen relatively soon. And
he wants those fights, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He wants those fights. As he said, he's going on, and he's made no secret of the fact that, we spoke to him on the build-up to that fight, and he made no secret of the fact that he wants to push on. He said it himself, I'm being fast-tracked, I want to do 5 times, not on my side. Not those right words, but that was... I
mean, if we fought Dubois, if they put him in with Dubois tomorrow, who wins?
Joyce wins purely on the experience, I think. I think Dubois is very untested. I think that Joyce would win against Dubois, but, in a few years' time, there's no telling how good Dubois could be.
But I think, and that's the thing. But you can only.
Early stage.
But you can't. That's the thing. I don't see how you could. I don't see that you've seen enough technical brilliance at all from Joyce to even say that he could beat Daniel Dubois. Because I think
But when you think that Dubois had very limited amateur experience,
that
as
is
a
true.
Senior amateur, he had
Yeah.
lots of junior. Whereas I think Joyce has been at the top level of the amateurs for years and years. He's got so much experience against some of the best heavyweights in the amateurs.
But we're talking pros. I wouldn't even disagree with that, but we are talking pros. So for me, you've got to look at, I'm sure Dubois faced guys that had better amateur experience than him, and I think it's fair to say Joyce doesn't go instantly into the top 10, neither does Dubois. So anything between 10 and 20, I think Dubois can beat them, and I think that for me, Dubois Joyce would be a very interesting fight.
It would be.
That would be a very interesting fight. So again, and so we'll see, because even as much as the amateur experience has been great, for me, looking at Joyce again, and it's the pro game now, there was an element of Bambi on ice up to him against the Lewison fight, where I think if Dubois,
he was doing a 360 pirouette with those hooks, wasn't he?
right? So whereas for me, I think if Dubois was to face Lewison tomorrow, I think he takes him out in one round and does it in decent fashion. So yeah, it's an interesting one. But yeah, Joyce versus Chisora, it's not a bad fight, but I feel like you guys are very, very ballsy, and I respect that, because that's what we want to see, right? That's what we want to see. So
they know what they're doing in that haymaker team. I think they know what they're doing, and I think that they wouldn't even offer for that fight if they weren't confident of winning it.
Yeah, no, good point. And Frampton, what's your thoughts on the Frampton-Donaire fight?
I think it's a good fight. I think you think logically that it should be a come to a win for Frampton, but after his last performance, I can't sound confident. It depends what fighter turns up with both of them. They've both been great fighters at their peak, so it's kind of like who turns up the best. Because if Frampton turns up before in his last fight, I can't say I'd be confident that he would win. Yeah.
And I think you're so true there. In terms of, you don't know what Donaire could be thinking here. There's a big opportunity for him, We know, he's fought in Vegas, but, the coming over to Ireland is going to be a big thing for him. So, yeah, you're right. It's what Frampton turns up. Obviously now he's working with the MTK team from his coaching perspective. What are we going to see from him as a fighter? Is what I want to see for.
I think it's interesting because I think from a promotional standpoint between BT and Sky, I think that Eddie Hearn's probably he's very wary that Frank Warren's sort of taking over this with MTK as he's getting a sort of monopoly on the Irish market, even though Eddie Hearn's got Ryan Burnett, who's a unified world champion.
Yeah, but it's not.
And I think that seeing the Amir Khan fight, it's easy to, everyone can be a conspiracy theorist, but I think that having the Amir Khan fight on the same day as the Frampton fight is going to take away a wealth of viewers from the BT card, because let's not be mistaken, Amir Khan's a much bigger star than Carl Frampton is in the general public, and that's going to do big damage to what would have been Frank Warren's biggest card that's been announced so far. And I think that that's not what we want to see as fans, but that's a very shrewd business move by Eddie Hearn.
I mean, what do you think about that? Because they've done that twice now, where they've put on, not necessarily, I'm not saying great cards, either of them, but they've put on cards on the same night, or like one night after the other, but in like totally different locations. But
I think this is the first time where it's been sort of quite high-level cards.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think,
even though the Amir Khan fight probably won't be that high level of card, but Amir Khan.
No, but it's the name.
Like it's enough. It's enough. Everyone knows Amir Khan, even if you're not into boxing. Everyone knows Amir Khan. If you're not into boxing, do you know Carl Frampton? Yeah, probably not.
That's it. And also, unfortunately, the whole celebrity jungle thing, they're definitely going to bring that into the PR in terms of where now, if you look at Amir Khan, you might laugh and say, but he could be on Loose Women talking about his fight. He could be on Good Morning Britain talking about his fight.
He'll be everywhere. I mean, he's very good in front of the camera, Amir Khan, and he'll be everywhere. He'll be on all the breakfast shows. you won't be able to stop hearing about Amir Khan. And the sad thing is that the Carl Frampton card, which is a great card with great fights, is going to slightly be overshadowed by that.
Yeah. So for me, that's going to be it's a problem. Hopefully, we don't see a lot of that. But there's definitely going to be a bit of beef between those guys throughout the months because
it's heating up.
And
exciting.
I don't care what anybody says. In the past, we've heard guys been going on with her, and I respect her 100% for what he's done for British boxing. But let's not get it twisted in terms of Frank Warren isn't in the dirt that people make him out to be, and is stable. Has the potential to put on some very, very good fights. In terms of the names that he's signing up with. So, Hearn's got a great stable,
MTK
so is Warren.
are becoming very powerful as a management group, and they seem to be working much more with Frank Warren than they are with Eddie Hearn, which is not working. That doesn't work in Eddie Hearn's favour. Obviously, they've got Tyson Fury now as well. They picked up Carl Frampton. They're getting big fighters. They're loved by the fighters that work with them.
Yeah.
And there's that timeless thing. If Eddie Hearn didn't have Anthony Joshua, well, yeah, he is in a world of trouble.
Yeah.
Because Frank Warren's got the better. Joshua is on. He's outside of the solar system compared to other British fighters on a level of marketability and fame. But then when you come down a level, there's not much between them at all, really, is there? All of Hearn's big names are actually on their way out. They've used the Brooks. I don't think there's all this talk, which is this was interesting. I wonder what you think about this. Which they keep saying how the Brook and Khan fight, it's never been as big a chance now. I don't think Amir Khan's going to take that Kell Brook fight.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, for me, there's the weight class for a start. Where is Amir Khan returning? Is he 147? Is he going to try his hand at 145?
I think he's at 147.
And that's where I think he needs to stay. So therefore, you're talking about Brook having to do more of a sacrifice to get to that weight to make the fight. We already know that Khan will negotiate. I think the Khan will negotiate Brook out of the fight in terms of percentage split.
Yeah, because Khan can get a big fight in the UK or in America, but Brook's really out of luck because he's had two big losses to high-level opponents, and that's going to be what he's known as outside of the UK, where we know how good he is. Whereas Amir Khan, if Amir Khan, the rumours were the Adrian Broner fight, that was a big fight. Amir Khan, Adrian Broner, that could be in New York, that could be in London, that's a big fight.
Do you not think Amir Khan Pacquiao's not going to happen? I wouldn't be surprised.
That could happen. Yeah, I think it could happen. I'd like to see it. I don't mind Amir Khan getting a big fight. He chased the Pacquiao Mayweather fights his whole career and never got them. I'm not going to begrudge a fight for getting a huge money fight like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the name you guys were talking about earlier as well, which I'm not saying is with Amir Khan, I think the Canelo fight clearly showed that he's prepared to take on risk. Even the Crawford fight, because Crawford necessarily might not knock him out, he just might outbox him. You see what I mean? So the risk in terms of getting hurt.
I think Crawford would knock out Khan.
He's not. I wouldn't say in the degree that I see Spence doing it, or even like Jeff Horn or Thurman.
I think both of them would knock out Khan, actually.
Yeah, I
do think that Khan's. It's weird because with Khan, he's taken a lot of losses. He's had a few controversial decisions as well. But he hasn't really lost reputation even before he went on this I'm Celebrity. If he'd had come back and was announcing his return, everyone would still be tuning in, not to the same degree. But Amir Khan's, he's a big name no matter what happens, really. And he took that Canelo fight. That was a great business move. I mean, it probably not a great move health-wise, but that was a great business move. And if you look up how Brook took the Golovkin fight afterwards, you'd have to say that Amir Khan taking the Canelo fight was a much better move than Brook taking the Golovkin fight.
100%. So, I agree with that. So, listen, man, it's been good. Want to give a quick shout out to all the callers, everyone that's listening, downloading. Really appreciate that. Back next week to talk about that British beef clash between Chamberlain and Okoli. Hopefully we get some good exclusives down at the pressers. Looking forward to that. And this weekend we've got Usyk versus Breeder, so looking forward to that. Also, Jorge Linares is returning. Don't know much about his opponent. Seems to have a good pay pattern record, but I think Linares really probably to win that fight, points decision. Yeah, guys, listen, back as usual, a lot more to be discussing over the next few months. Tom, pleasure as always. Enjoyed having your opinion on the show today, and enjoy your week, brother.
Yeah, cheers, Kodo. Yeah, you too, man. I'll see you next week.
See you next week, mate. Cheers.